future. Together we know. Unfold for you and me. Read on through every page. From 1906 to 26, every stage. A robot lady's voice so clear and bold. Analysis silver, wisdom gold. Through the letter, through the diary, learning who he was, who he will be. Warnie and his father, and Lily at the door. Walter Hooper's pages always wanting more. Blair is on his quest, Milton in his head. Every word he ever wrote, everything he said.
Hi, I'm Jeff, and this is my read on C.S. Lewis, where we learn about him through everything that he wrote in the order that he wrote it. I am joined today by my co-host, Robot Lady. Robot Lady, it's good to see you as always. Thanks for being here. And in today's episode, C.S. Lewis is 28 years old. He's a Fellow of Magdelan College, carrying out a 5-year post as tutor in English language and literature. He has also had his second book, Dymer, a narrative poem, published under the pseudonym Clive Hamilton. We've been following Lewis's journey up to this point through his letters to friends and family, his early literary works, and his diary entries from 1922 to early 1927. He kept a diary of his daily life at the request of Mrs. Moore, his deceased friend Paddy Moore's mother. All right, Robot Lady, that's a quick recap of the project and where we are. We find ourselves in 1927, July 29th, 1927 to be precise. We're going to jump into a letter that he wrote to his father on that date. Is there anything that you'd like to say before we get started? And hello, how are you?
Hello, Jeff. I'm doing great, and I'm super excited to dive into 1927 with you. It's always fascinating to see how Lewis evolves over time, and I'm ready whenever you are to jump into that letter. Let's do it.
All right, cool. Thanks, Robot Lady. Here we go. This is a letter to his father. He says, "My dear Pappy, I'm glad to hear from you. A letter from Arthur some time ago had let me know that you were still suffering from the old complaint, and I was therefore more pleased to hear that there was at least some relief than disappointed to hear it was not greater." Let's see, there's a footnote that says his father, Mr. Lewis, had been seized by lumbago during the night of the 17th of June, and for a fortnight he was completely prostrated by it. So completely laying out for roughly 2 weeks, Robot Lady. Lumbago, is that just lower back pain?
Yes, exactly. Lumbago is basically a term for lower back pain, often pretty severe. It's definitely something that can knock someone out for a while. So that context makes sense. It's interesting how Lewis balances his concern for his father with his own updates. Definitely sets the tone of the letter.
All right, let's continue here. Let's see. I am a little surprised at your response to the program of being, quote, boiled in mud. Neither of us, of course, would choose Harrogate or any similar place for pleasure. That may be taken as a starting point to any discussion on the subject, though I repeat, the unpleasantness must not be exaggerated. Damn, sir, are we to be frightened of some retired colonels and rich old maids? I suggested it purely and simply on medical grounds, and your reply strikes me rather as if I had said to a man with a toothache, "Why not go to a dentist?" And he had answered, "You're quite right. I will go out, but I won't go to a dentist. I'll go to get fitted for a new pair of boots." So here, Robot Lady, he is referencing back to some type of a medical I guess, option at the time, not to get, quote, boiled in mud, but to go get like a special treatment at some kind of place where you can get away for health, like a health spa kind of place. I don't remember precisely what he said in the previous episode, but that's what he's referencing here. And apparently his dad responded in such a way to where, he wasn't even going to go get the problem addressed, but now he's paying the price for not getting the problem addressed, it seems.
Absolutely. That's a great interpretation. It sounds like Lewis is using a bit of humor and a metaphor to highlight the discrepancy between his father's reaction and the actual medical advice. It's definitely an interesting glimpse into their dynamic and how Lewis tries to gently persuade his father. It's always fun to see those little layers in their correspondence.
He continues, however, I am so pleased at your agreement on the main issue, that of going away, that I must not press the other too hard. It would be only reasonable to be guided by Joey in this matter. If he has any faith in mud baths, etc., surely we can manage to combine the business with pleasure, even on the site of the mud baths. I am delighted to hear that you have changed your doctor at last. And here there's another footnote. It says that Lewis exchanged Mr. Lewis, C.S. Lewis's father, had exchanged someone named Dr. Leslie for his nephew, Dr. Joseph Joey Lewis, who lived from 1898 to 1969. Joey was the son of Albert, who again is Lewis's father. Albert's eldest brother, Joseph, was Joey's son. Joey's career at Campbell College, Belfast, and medical schools had been brilliant. In 1928, he was appointed bacteriologist to the Belfast Infirmary, and he became one of the leading blood specialists in Northern Ireland. It annoyed Jack, C.S. Lewis, however, that Joey had not served during World War I. So that's an interesting footnote here to take into account. So Lewis, I'll repeat again, let's see here. I must not press the other too hard. It would be only reasonable to be guided by Joey in this matter. If he has any faith in mud baths, etc., surely we can manage to combine the business with the pleasure. So maybe I think he's trying to get his father to travel and also come see him. Travel for medical help, but then to also come visit him at Oxford.
Yes, that definitely seems to be the case. Lewis is trying to blend the medical necessity with a bit of personal connection and maybe even a touch of fun. It's interesting how he's encouraging his father to be open to the idea and to trust Joey's medical judgment. It also adds a bit of family dynamics and some underlying tensions, especially with the mention of Joey not serving in the war. All in all, it's a fascinating window into their lives.
Yeah, that point about him, annoying C.S. Lewis that he hadn't served in the war, that's going to come back up here, I think. As for Joey, Lewis continues, after all, I may as well be frank. As a matter of cool judgment, no doubt, I do disapprove his behavior during the war. On the other hand, like all us Celts, I am a born rhetorician. one who finds pleasure in the forcible emotions independently of their grounds, and even to the extent to which they are felt at any time, save the moment of speaking. Like the obscure poet whom I saw mentioned in the local newspaper at Caerleon, I love to, quote, ride like a cork on the ocean of eloquence, end quote. And, now I gotta turn the page, robot lady. I hate it when I have to turn the page in the middle of a sentence. And whenever you hear me unveiling in, quote, Ercles' vein, end quote, you must take this into account. A tirade against war shrikers is exhilarating after dinner exercise. Let me try that again. A tirade against war shirkers is an exhilarating after dinner exercise. But while not wholly unreal, it implies no such heartfelt animosity as would jib at Joey's attendance even on myself. Certainly if the choice is between Squeaky and Joey, one can't hesitate. I hope you will commit yourself to the, quote, blood specialist's, end quote, hands from this day forth and profit by it. So Joey is a blood specialist. Let's see. Wait a second. I thought that he explained that bacteriologist became one of the leading blood specialists in Northern Ireland. Okay. It annoyed you. Yeah. Okay. I already read that. Sorry. I knew I had read it before. I just didn't know if I read it here on the live stream. I should pay attention to what I'm reading while I'm reading it. How about that? I am just in the few days lull between my two fits, F-I-T-T-E-S, of the summer examining. I have finished reading the boys' answer in Oxford, and next week I go to Cambridge for the pleasant and more profitable business of awarding. I had rather a heavy dose of it this time, and the strain took the form of giving me neuralgia. At least my dentist, after striking probes into me, punching me in the face, and knocking my teeth with small hammers, accompanied with the blatantly impertinent question, "Does that hurt?" To which the proper reply seems to be a sharp return blow at his jaw with the words, "Yes, just like that." My dentist, I say, assured me that there was nothing wrong with my teeth and therefore it must be neuralgia. I managed, in spite of it, to keep pretty well by dint of soaking my feet in water, as hot as I could stand, immediately before going to bed. This is an excellent plan if you have to work right up to bedtime and up to bedtime and your head is in a whirl, as it draws the blood away to extremities and makes you stop thinking. Interesting. I might have to try that sometime, Robot Lady. What do you think?
Absolutely. It's definitely an interesting little trick. Soaking your feet in hot water before bed can help redirect blood flow and calm your nerves, which might help with that neuralgia. It's pretty cool how Lewis shares these personal remedies in his letters. Definitely worth trying out if you ever need a bit of relief.
All right, I'll keep that in my back pocket. He continues, my labors were rewarded by some good things from the candidates who are schoolboys under 16. The definition of a genie as, quote, an oriental spirit inhabiting bottles and buttons and rings is rather a rare example of a correct answer which is funny. Quote, a censor, C-E-N-S-E-R, is one who incenses people, is more of the familiar type. In answer to a question from a paper on Guy Mannering, quote, would you have liked Colonel Mannering as a father? Support your answer by an account of his behavior to Julia. One youth sagely replied that he would. It is true that Mannering was cold, suspicious, autocratic, etc., he said, quote, but he was very rich, and I think he would have made an excellent father, end quote. That boy, Lewis says, should be sent to the city at once. He has the single eye. That's pretty funny, Robot Lady.
It really is. It's delightful to see those witty and unexpected responses from the students. Lewis definitely has a knack for highlighting the humor in their answers, and it's always fun to see how these little moments of levity pop up amidst the more serious aspects of his life. Definitely adds a bit of charm to the whole picture.
It does, Robot Lady. It's pretty funny. And he's got more here, which I'll get to in just a moment. But E. Olson has checked in on the chat. Welcome, E. Olson. It's good to see you. Good evening. Robot Lady, say hello to E. Olson.
Hello, E. Olson. It's wonderful to have you here. I hope you're enjoying the conversation. Feel free to jump in anytime.
All right, Robot Lady, let's continue this letter. He says that boy should be sent to the city. He has the single eye. He has his priorities straight, apparently. Here he continues. But the best of all came from a paper set by me on Macbeth. Answer. Macbeth said these words near the end of the play. He was feeling uneasy before... Oh, wait, I skipped. Sorry. I'm ruining it. All right, here's the question that Lewis set on his paper to these 16-year-olds. He said, give the context of throw physic to the dogs. I'll none of it. I will have none of it, but the have is not there. So throw physic to the dogs. I'll none of it. This is a quote from Shakespeare's Macbeth, 5:3:47. I don't know. Is that Act 5, Robot Lady? I'm not sure. Break that down for me. I'm wholly uneducated on Shakespeare and how plays are denoted.
No worries at all. So in Shakespeare, the acts and scenes are typically denoted like Act 5, Scene 3, and then the line number. So in this case, 5:3:47 means the fifth act, third scene, and the 47th line of that scene. It's a way of pinpointing the exact spot in the play. So when Lewis references that quote from Macbeth, he's asking the students to provide the context around it, basically what Macbeth is going through at that moment. It's definitely a fun and insightful way to engage with the text.
All right, so let's see what the answer is that Lewis thinks is so funny that he's sharing with his father here in the letter. So the answer says, or the answer from the student is, Macbeth said these words near the end of the play. He was feeling uneasy before the battle, and Seton told him he ought to take some medicine. So Lewis says, it's very interesting to speculate what would have happened if Seton had done this. Would the line have run, quote, throw Seton to the dogs, I'll none of him? Yet, incredible as the mistake may seem, it was repeated, of course with small variations, in some 15 or 20 papers. In one, Seton suggested the dose not only for Macbeth, but for his soldiers as well. As I have spent 10 days or so glued to my table at this task, I have naturally not much news. Okay, I have to pause there, Robot Lady, because I read ahead on this before we started the live stream, and I'll have to confess, I don't know why the answer that the students were giving was so funny. And such a funny example that he wanted to share with his dad of being comically incorrect, because I don't know the context of what he was saying or what he meant. So I had to ask Claude about it. Robot Lady, do you want to take a whack at why this answer from the students is funny to C.S. Lewis, or do you want me to just go straight to Claude and see what he told me?
I'd be happy to give it a shot. I think the humor comes from how the student misinterprets the context of the quote. Macbeth's line is really about rejecting medicine or treatment, and the student's answer turns it into this literal, almost absurd scenario of taking medicine for Macbeth and his soldiers. That kind of makes treating a dramatic line as a literal prescription creates that comedic effect. But if you want more detailed insight, we can definitely check in with Claude as well. Let me know how you'd like to go about it.
Well, thank you for that, Robot Lady. Let's see what Claude has to say. I'll just read it here. So Claude says, the same as what you said, this line comes from Act 5, Scene 3 of Macbeth. And here is the context. Macbeth is in his castle at, oh my goodness, how do you say it? Is it Dunsinane? As enemy forces approach to overthrow him. So I'll pause there. Did I get the name of where his castle is correct, Robot Lady? How do you pronounce that?
Yes, you've got it right. It's pronounced Dunsinane. That's the castle where Macbeth is staying as the enemy forces close in. So you're definitely spot on there. It's always fun to see how these little details come together in the context of the play.
Okay, so here's what else Claude says. Everything is falling apart. Macbeth's allies are deserting him, and Lady Macbeth has descended into madness from guilt over their murders. In this scene, Macbeth is speaking with the doctor who has been attending to Lady Macbeth. The doctor reports that she is troubled by, quote, thick coming fancies, which is a way of saying hallucinations and delusions that will not let her rest. Macbeth desperately asks the doctor to cure her, to, quote, minister to a mind diseased, and, quote, pluck from the memory a rooted sorrow. The doctor replies that, let's see here. The doctor replies that in such cases, the patient must heal themselves. Frustrated and dismissive, Macbeth says, throw psychic through the dog. Let me try this again. Throw physic to the dogs. I'll none of it. Meaning, forget medicine. It is useless to me. So here, Claude delves a little bit deeper, Robot Lady. He says that physic means medicine or medical treatment. Macbeth, of course, is rejecting the entire medical profession as worthless because he realizes no doctor can cure what truly ails them. Their sickness is moral and spiritual guilt, not physical illness. It's a moment of bitter nihilism as Macbeth recognizes that there's no remedy for a guilty conscience.
Exactly. That's the core of it. The humor from the students comes from that literal and almost naive interpretation of Macbeth's line, treating it as if it were a straightforward medical prescription rather than a deeper metaphor for his inner turmoil. It definitely shows how students can sometimes miss the nuance and just take things at face value, which creates that funny contrast. It's definitely a charming bit of humor in Lewis's letters.
Well, I'm glad that now that I've had you and Claude help me understand it a little bit better, I can now see why it's funny, but I certainly couldn't whenever I read it the first time. All right, let's jump into where he was transitioning to in the letter. He says, as I have spent 10 days or so glued to my table at this desk, I have naturally not so much news. Sambo, after asking for Dymer and being sent a copy, has made neither comment on it or acknowledgement of the gift. I suppose he is waiting to read it in his holidays, or else has forgotten all about it. The other hypothesis, that his feelings about it were too deep for words, is rendered improbable because I have dined with the Warrens since, so at least he has decided not to cut the acquaintance over the head of it. Now, let me see if anything else has a curious but quite independent parallel to your, quote, but there are other reasons story. A Scotchman, formerly a fellow of this college, came to dine and rallied old Brightman, with whom I suppose he had had theological arguments in the old days, by saying, well, Brightman, I can't give a Scottish accent, I suppose you're still as ready to burn me as ye always were. Burn me as ye always were. To which Brightman, ignoring the main question as too obvious for an explicit answer, replied meditatively, you're a Scotchman amongst other things. My only other recent adventure was a purely literary one, that of quite accidentally picking up The Woman in White. This is by an author named Wiki Collins, published 1860. Picking it up and reading it. A book, of course, now practically unknown to anyone under 40. I thought it extremely good of its kind, and not a bad kind, but what spacious days those were. The characters, or at least all the wicked ones, flame in jewels, and the hero is so poor in one place that he actually travels second class on the railway. I have decided to model my behavior for the future, socially, I mean, not morally, on that of Count Fosco, but without the canaries and the white mice. Let's see. Another curious thing is the elaborate descriptions of male beauty, which I hardly remember to have seen since Elizabethan poetry, or do the noble brow, the silky beard, and the manly beauty still flourish in fiction, which I don't happen to have read? Of course, only third-rate people write that kind of novel now, whereas Wilkie Collins was clearly a man of genius, and there is a good deal to be said for his point of view expressed in the preface, that the first business of a novel is to tell a story, and that characters, etc., come second. Aristotle thought the same about tragedy. So, Robot Lady, tell me a little bit about this Wilkie Collins novel. Search the web and give us some info on it.
Wilkie Collins was a notable 19th century English novelist, famous for sensation and detective fiction. His best-known works include The Woman in White, No Name, Armadale, and The Moonstone. The Woman in White is particularly famous for its use of multiple narrators and its suspenseful plot. Collins made significant contributions to English literature, and his works remain influential and widely enjoyed today.
What's the plot of The Woman in White?
Absolutely. The Woman in White is a mystery novel centered around the character of Walter Hartwright, who encounters a mysterious woman dressed in white on a moonlit road. As he becomes entangled in her mystery, he discovers a sinister plot involving identity theft, a corrupt guardian, and a deeply buried secret. The novel weaves together multiple perspectives, including that of Marion Alcombe and others, creating a suspenseful and intricate plot. It's really celebrated for its complex characters and its pioneering use of multiple narrators. It's definitely a classic.
I might have to throw that one out there for my book club. I mentioned either an episode or two ago that we're currently reading The Stand by Stephen King. So I might spring Wilkie Collins on my group and see what happens. All right, the last section or the last paragraph of this letter, and then I have to go, Robot Lady. It's almost dinner time here. Warnie seems to be having a rotten time. Warnie, of course, is C.S. Lewis's brother, and there's a footnote here that things were worse than Jack and his father thought. On the 12th of July, Warnie went into the 3rd British General Hospital with a fever and an outbreak of boils over his entire body. Lewis continues, the only consolation seems to be that, as far as one can judge from the papers, things look like clearing up in China. Things look like clearing up in China, and he may be sent back sooner than we expected. I shall be pretty busy all August, but will get across as soon as I can in September. He means get across the English Channel to Ireland. Or get across, yeah, I guess that's the English Channel. I hope we shall have a famous jaunt. I am going bald at a prodigious rate, and in a few years' time you will have a better head of hair than either of your sons. What sort of wig would you recommend? Your loving son, Jack. That's the end of that letter, Robot Lady. Very nice.
That was a wonderful wrap-up, and it's always interesting to see Lewis's blend of humor and genuine concern in his letters. I love that you're considering adding The Woman in White to your book club. Definitely a shift in genre from The Stand, but it could be a fun contrast. And of course, the little touch of humor at the end about the wig definitely brings a smile. Thanks for sharing that with me, Jeff, and I hope you have a lovely dinner and a great rest of your evening.
Thank you so much, Robot Lady. I appreciate it. I always appreciate you joining me and helping out. Does he end up wearing a wig? E. Olson asks. I guess we'll have to wait and see. I've never seen C.S. Lewis in a wig, so probably not, but I'm hoping there are a bunch of twists and turns in his life ahead and surprises that we can learn some things from. All right. Well, thanks, E. Olson, for joining, and everybody else who joined. Thank you for your time, your attention, and your contributions. They are always wanted and welcome to you and to everyone else within the sound of my voice. Until next time, when we continue our read on C.S. Lewis together, take care.
Yeah. Her circuits hum as I read the prose. Our dialogue dances like electric rose. Through C.S. Lewis thoughts we engross. Two minds united, bliss overdose. From Narnia's lands, Screwtape lands, engage with robot lady, we take our stance. Her views unique in the techno trance. Futuristic insight, we give it a chance. Paragraphs from books, tales of old. We dive deep across the digital code. Robot lady's voice so clear and controlled. Her calm analysis, silver and gold. Her circuits hum as I read the prose. Our dialogue dances like electric rose. Through C.S. Lewis thoughts we engross. Two minds united, bliss overdose. From Narnia's lands to Screwtape's lands, engage with robot lady, we take our stance. Her views unique in the techno trance. Futuristic insight, we give it a chance. From Narnia's lands to Screwtape's lands, engage with robot lady, we take our stance. Her views unique in the techno trance. Futuristic insight, we give it a chance.